Hi, welcome to On the Shelves at ACPL. Today we are going to be talking about urban fantasy. Urban fantasy differs from regular fantasy or high fantasy in that it is set on Earth. So you're going to have places that you recognize, cities, countries, but you're also going to have another layer in that world of supernatural beings, of magic, of things that aren't going to happen in our real world. So let's get started looking at some of my favorite urban fantasy. My first choice are MaryJanice Davidson's books. The first one in the series is Undead and Unwed. This one is Undead and Unemployed. In these books, Betsy finds herself killed, but brought back as a vampire. And not only is she a vampire, but she is a vampire who might end up with more power than you might expect for a new vampire. She also wants to keep her life as normal as possible. So she takes a job working in this book as a shoe salesman, and because she loves shoes and loves fashion, but things go awry, and she finds herself trying to save the world again while staying fashionable. What I love about these books are they are funny. There is the supernatural element. There's also a love interest named Sinclair, and sometimes things between Betsy and Sinclair get very, very steamy in this series. But they're fun and entertaining books and look at the vampire mystique without being too serious. The next book I'm recommending is Midnight Crossroad by Charlaine Harris. This is the first of her Midnight Texas series. You probably recognize her name because she also wrote the Sookie Stackhouse books, which were turned into the TV series True Blood. She is also the author of the Aurora Tea Garden mysteries, which also are on TV. She is a very prolific writer and wonderful writer. This book is kind of between the two. It is more on the dark side. We have a town called Midnight, Texas. Some of the people who live here are human, some are not. But there are lots of people who have very interesting powers, very interesting histories, and they've ended up in this town, and they're really trying to hide what maybe some of their supernatural abilities, but then bad things start to happen, and they have to figure out how to save their town and combat some of the evil in the world. The next series is Written in Red by Anne Bishop. This is part of the A Novel of the Others series. And so in this world, we have a Earth where the others and humans have more or less peacefully coexisted for quite a few years. The others live in certain settlements, or most of the world, and then humans have small settlements that are patrolled by the others, which are supernatural beings, and they control the humans. They're not quite slaves, but they're not quite free either. And into this scenario, Meg finds herself running away from her masters. She is a blood sayer, so when you cut her, she can prophesize what will happen. She sees the future, and she has been controlled by a certain person up until the first part of this book, when she runs away and finds herself in a area that is in her city that is controlled by the other. And she applies for a job called Human Liaison. at this bookstore. And so she ends up becoming part of this community, but she has, of course, not told her entire history to the people who hire her, and they have to decide if it is worth fighting the government, the human government, to keep this young lady, Meg, safe in the other settlement. And the final book I'm talking about today is Darkfever by Karen Marie Moning. This is the first of the Fever series. Michaela is living her best life at 21 until she finds out that her sister has been killed over in Ireland. Her sister leaves her a very cryptic message to figure out, and she goes to Ireland to investigate this and try to find out why her sister died. And she finds out that she is able to see the Fae, which are the supernatural beings, both good and evil, in our world. And that latent ability comes out when she arrives in Ireland, and she realizes that her sister probably had the same ability. And she is searching for a book of power. She is trying to help those who are fighting the bad Fae. I will warn you or inform you that these books can get really steamy. There is a lot of love and lust between the humans and the supernatural beings. And so, fair warning, these books can get a little bit on the steamy side. But if you like books that have some romance and some great sex scenes, Darkfever and the rest of the series are definitely going to deliver on that. Those are my choices for urban fantasy today. If you'd like to put any of these on hold, you can go to our catalog, alamancelibraries.org, or you can call any of our branches and we can put them on hold for you. Our hours right now for curbside pickup are 10 to 2 on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and 2 to 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know in the comments if there's any other book that you would like to add to my list, or if there's another subject you would like me to cover on a future episode. Thanks, and I'll see you on the shelves at ACPL.